When tragedy strikes, she's a bright beacon of hope.
Requesting medical evac.
Launch the Buffalo, launch the Buffalo.
The CC-115 Buffalo is the go-to aircraft for search and rescue
now
on Canada's west coast.
I love it, it's a pig. I think I see some dark shapes near it.
30 seconds!
She takes on some of the most dangerous flying terrain in the world.
It's just making sure that you don't put yourself into a situation that you can't get out of.
It's going to be pretty tough. Don't have much room yet. First jumper's away and clear.
Her mission, to search land and sea for those in distress and bring them home safe. Canada's Vancouver Island. Rugged, remote, spectacular. On the island's eastern shore is Comox Air Force Base, home to the CC-115 Buffalo, Western Canada's #1 search and rescue aircraft.
The Buffalo is in my eyes, the ultimate life-saving machine here on the west coast of Canada. It is the classic pickup truck of the sky. You can use and abuse this aircraft. It's proven itself time and time again.
Aircraft Commander Stephen Kind and members of 442 Search and Rescue Squadron respond to almost 200 emergency calls a year, most of them from airplanes and boats in distress.
Indicators of high flyers of 21.5, ELT no 406. I love what we do, I love what we stand for. Everyone here is very motivated in the job we do because we know that people are expecting us to come rescue them when they're in trouble.
Over the next 2 days, Stephen and his crew will conduct 2 search and rescue training exercises, a missing aircraft and a sinking boat.
When we're on a training mission, our biggest goal is to go out there and learn and be prepared for when the actual mission happens.
The scenarios are simulated, but the risks are real. In a recent Royal Canadian Air Force training mission, an 11-year veteran of search and rescue was swept away by an avalanche, buried under several meters of snow, and killed.
Training or on an actual mission, the risks are always going to be the same.
On board the plane, Stephen and his flight crew work together with highly trained search and rescue technicians. These are parachuting paramedics, experts in emergency medical procedures and extreme sports like skydiving and ice climbing. They execute the rescue part of the operation.
Every time you leave the aircraft, you are potentially risking injury, which would be career-altering. So every training operation is undertaken very seriously.
Are you getting dressed here? I can throw the pants on, it's gonna save some time.
During today's training mission, Justin will lead the rescue.
We don't need it, we won't use it.
If the simulation includes any injuries, Justin and his team member Nathan King will parachute down and provide medical assistance.
You're gonna look and locate for any kind of life-threatening injury that you can immediately deal with, and then at that point you're just gonna go through a pretty meticulous approach of trying to identify the chief complaint in the patient and then treating that, which in many instances might just be rapid transport.
Once these guys are on the ground, they'll need a way out. That's the job of the CH-149 Cormorant helicopter and aircraft commander, Francois Fasquelle.
So the relationship between the Buffalo and the Cormorant helicopter is a very tight relationship. The SARTEX will jump out of the Buffalo aircraft, get on scene, take care of the patients, and then the Cormorant helicopter will come in and extract the SARTEX and the casualties via hoist or landing.
The CC-115 Buffalo and the CH-149 Cormorant get their marching orders from here, the Joint Rescue Coordination Center in Victoria, 200 kilometers to the south. Captain Gregory Clark is the dispatcher for today's training exercise. The JRCC is the 911 call center for Comox Air Force Base,
RC Rescue,
directing search and rescue missions in the most treacherous land and seascapes of Canada's west coast. A region stretching from the Yukon to lower BC, covering almost 1.5 million square kilometers, including the Pacific Ocean. Today's mission starts on the BC mainland, north of Vancouver.
So our scenario is we have a emergency beacon coming from an aircraft in the mountains. So a beacon coming from an aircraft could be a sign of distress.
At the Comox base, Captain Kind gets the call to action.
Hi, good morning, it's Captain Kind. How's it going?
Yeah, hi, we've got an ELT report.
Okay.
An emergency locator transmitter is an electronic beacon that helps search and rescue teams locate an aircraft that has crashed or is in distress. It's required safety equipment on most aircraft, and often the only way to find small planes that have crashed in this kind of terrain. And that's exactly the kind of terrain Stephen will begin his search in today.
Starting position 5140 and 127.25. Yeah, we'd like you to get going, check it out.
Okay, we'll talk to you airborne. All right, okay, bye. Looks like
First officer on the mission today is Captain Greg Harris.
We received the call, we've got the coordination, the planning, going to start the airplane. The group will basically rendezvous and everything will be coordinated on the airplane for the departure as soon as we can.
Lives depend on a quick response.
We're on half-hour posture, so from a half hour from when I receive the call, I have a half hour from that time to be airborne.
While Stephen files a flight plan, Greg and flight engineer Tony King confirm that the aircraft, affectionately known as the Buff, is ready to launch. Powered by two 3,100 horsepower turboprop engines, the Buff has the giddy-up to maneuver around the world's most dangerous flying terrain. The aircraft measures 24 meters long, almost 9 meters high, and has a wingspan of just over 29 meters.
Tony and I are going to start the airplane in anticipation for the crew to get the rest of their stuff together, and they'll meet us out here.
Within 15 minutes, Stephen's ready, and his SAR-techs are right behind.
Yeah, we got it.
Sure. Sartex are on board.
We got everybody.
We got everybody? Are we clear to close?
Yep.
All right, come close.
Takeoff check is complete. Single engine speed is 113 knots. Torque is 960. 60 power coming in.
Just 18 minutes after getting the call,
Good engines.
the plane's in the air. That's 12 minutes before the deadline. En route to the search area, the team regroups.
All right, so we've been tasked. There was reports from a high flyer that a 21.5 beacon was heard. So we're on our way to the area where it was first reported.
The Buff is equipped with radio receivers called homers. They're tuned to 121.5 megahertz, a frequency reserved for distress signals.
And basically, we'll be able to hear the tone going off in our ears. And then we can basically set up on our equipment. So we have basically two needles. One just basically tells it the direction to turn. The other one actually will point to where it's coming from.
Flight navigator Corey McPhee also monitors homers from his station just behind the cockpit.
Generally, what I'm doing is I'm listening the whole time because we could pick up the CLT anywhere en route. Once we pick that up, I'll immediately look at the instruments, same as the pilots up front. We'll try and get an indication of where it's pointing.
But even with the homers, finding the source of the distress signal isn't always easy.
Sometimes the radio waves will bounce off the various mountain and valleys. So basically lead us down the wrong path of where it might be.
30 minutes after takeoff, the Buff has arrived at the coordinates provided by the Joint Rescue Coordination Center.
We're going to start flying over where we think the beacon's at.
But there's still no hit on the homers, so they'll have to rely on a visual search.
These windows are our primary means of spotting people in distress. They allow us to look directly below the aircraft, right below the fuselage. It's something which is not available on a conventional aircraft, and it really expands our field of view.
Everyone who's in a window is just looking for any signs of a possible crash. So we're looking for smoke, we're looking for flares or any signals. Someone might have a mirror on the ground and deflect the sunlight towards us.
Finding a small aircraft in this vast landscape requires a systematic approach. Stephen starts with the highest ground, using a technique called contour flying.
So we're going to go straight into the contouring on the right side of the valley from this point.
You go 75 with the props there, Greg.
Come back.
The Buff starts at the top of each peak and moves down in a circular pattern, following the contour of the mountain.
When we start contouring, we start at the very top, so whatever the altitude is for the top of the ridge line, and then we'll slowly make our way down to 500-foot increments, and that just allows us to cover as much as possible for the SAR-techs or the searchers in the back to search that area.
Search and rescue was not this aircraft's original purpose. The CC-115 Buffalo was built by de Havilland, Canada in the 1960s to carry artillery, troops, and supplies into remote and rugged terrain. Its short takeoff and landing abilities made it ideal for flying into primitive airstrips. Eventually, the Buff was repurposed to other tasks, including search and rescue. 126 of them were built, but only a handful remain in service, 6 of them at Comox.
We're the only squadron in the Air Force that still flies them, and one of the only Air Forces in the world that still flies them.
It's the kind of airplane pilots love to fly.
Being almost 50 years old, it's not highly automated. So that's the best part about coming to this on your first tour as a pilot in the Canadian Air Force, is that you're going to do a lot of hands-on flying.
But Stephen's time with the Buff is running out.
These training missions that we're going to do are going to be my last on the Buffalo before I move on to my next aircraft.
An hour into the mission, Stephen has covered all the high ground in the search area with no results.
We thought we had the ELT located, but it turns out that it's actually not in this location.
There's only one place left to search. A narrow valley plunging hundreds of feet straight down.
I'm just going to turn around, we'll come up and take some flaps, and we'll go recce it.
This is some of the most dangerous flying in the world.
You're worried about downdrafts, updrafts. It's just making sure that you don't put yourself into a situation that you can't get out of. All right, we're over top of the ridge. Just 120 gears coming down.
Taking the Buff into this narrow gorge could be diving into a death trap. A CC-115 Buffalo on a training mission in the BC mountains has scoured the peaks for a downed aircraft with no results. Now, Captain Stephen Kind and his crew will have to search a treacherous valley far below two high peaks with a maneuver called a valley shoot.
It's going to be pretty tough. Don't have much room, yeah. Because unfortunately it drops right there, right?
The first hurdle is getting over the top of the valley.
Once I know I've cleared that ridge line, I can start to configure the aircraft. Let's do a valley shoot check for 40 flap.
Yeah, valley shoot check for 40,000 pounds, 40 flap, 86 knots. I'll take 87 knots.
Once over the saddle, Stephen will begin his descent by dropping the nose of the aircraft down to a 15-degree angle.
Top levers, full increase, 47.
But he can't afford to pick up too much speed.
We're going to configure the aircraft to help us with as much drag as we need to make sure that we can get into the valley. So the more flap, the more drag. We'll lower the gear as well to help with the drag.
Speed 85 knots, gear to go.
Gears down.
Oh, gears down. I'm thinking.
Now, he begins the dangerous descent.
Yeah, so now we're at full flap, so 40 degrees with the gear hanging. So that just allows us to have as much drag as possible. Slow.
It's all good.
The Buff's oversized flaps are key to her ability to dive like this. If they aren't working perfectly, this maneuver could be the end of the line for Stephen and his crew. At Comox, Sergeant Tim Wasnow makes sure the aircraft's flaps are functioning flawlessly.
Okay, we're looking for a range motion check on the ailerons and flaps, please. Lower the flaps. The guys are just currently doing the flight control checks on the Buffalo. They'll do full range motion checks just to make sure that all control surfaces are moving properly and correctly and that there's no damage to the control cables.
The flight controls are checked every 650 flight hours when the plane comes in for a full periodic inspection.
Ailerons full right. Ailerons full left.
The Buff is fully mechanical.
As I'm turning the elevator back and forth and ailerons left and right, it all gets translated through these cables here, and then further gets translated into the back.
Which ones am I missing?
Inside the stripped-down cabin, Master Corporal Sean Rakers ensures there's no slack in the cables due to heavy wear and tear.
Gas locks, elevators, please. Other than a few hydraulic features, this thing is controlled basically the same as the very first aircraft that were built, all with cables and pulleys, manpower.
But thanks to her technicians, the Buff remains one of the best search and rescue aircraft in the world.
There's no airplane, as far as I'm aware of, in the world right now that can perform what this aircraft can do in mountainous terrain that we have here in British Columbia.
And this one will soon be back in like-new condition.
Okay, flaps up. Looking good. Everything's looking nice and smooth. Yep, we're good.
On the search and rescue mission, Stephen is completing his nosedive into the valley.
Just do some maneuvering here.
Now he glides the aircraft slowly through the narrow gorge. Everyone on board scours the slopes for any sign of a crash, except for Stephen, who keeps his eyes peeled for the valley end.
As we get to the bottom of it, we're going to start deconfiguring the aircraft. So we'll exact opposite of what we did before. So we'll bring the landing gear up first, then slowly bring the flaps up in increments. You're selected. And set climb power. Roger.
Once again, their search comes up empty.
Looks like we haven't found the crash site.
No, the light was really good too, and I was negative visual with any sort of target whatsoever.
Turns out, this was all part of the training plan set out by the JRCC.
Often we find that when the Buffalo gets on scene, the location of the initial beacon isn't exactly where the distress is. So today's scenario will end up relocating to find the real distress.
It's given Stephen and his crew some valuable flying time in the region's most challenging terrain. But now, the search will move.
Yeah, we checked that this was a false positive. However, there is a second ELT report. It could be related. 5043.2, 12719.1. We'd like you to proceed there.
The new search location is on the coast of Vancouver Island, where Corporal Joel Tremblay and a team of riggers have simulated a crash site, complete with casualties.
We got a bunch of simulation makeup, actually, to make a fake blood, fake flesh, so the guys can actually look like they're injured, literally.
We're not experts at this.
This one will have a broken leg. The other casualty will have a head trauma.
Crossing the Georgia Strait en route to Vancouver Island, the Buff gets a hit on the Homer.
Got ELT. Can't start and pick up the LT now. Looks like it's off our nose.
Stephen drops the plane down towards the signal source. SARTEC Justin Cervantes gets a visual on their target.
Yeah, it looks like a fuselage and some wings.
I'd say it's a positive ident for the plane.
I think I see some dark shapes near it.
To rescue these injured airmen, the SARTECs will have to put their own lives on the line. On a search and rescue training mission, the crew of a CC-115 Buffalo has located the wreckage of a small aircraft near the Vancouver Island coastline.
Yeah, right at 12 o'clock there, it looks like I got a fuselage and some wings on the ground right by that line of trees down there.
In the cabin, SARTECs Justin Cervantes and Nathan King shift into rescue mode.
This will be a team lead brief for a live message drop. So the drop zone is going to be the target which we've identified. Drop altitude will be 150.
Justin briefs the crew on step one, establishing contact with the injured parties.
So right now we're going to be dropping a message radio down to some survivors on the ground. This is just a way to ascertain the scene, whether or not it's even necessary for us to jump down there, or if we need to bring any special equipment, just to get a better idea as to what we're going to be going into.
Wants to go. Okay.
On the ground, the rigging crew prepares smoke flares to help guide the drop, while Stephen brings the plane in low.
All right, so you're clear to level, guys.
Okay. Clear to level.
Nathan gets ready to throw the radio.
Good man on the right.
Check. 10 seconds.
My aircraft?
Yeah, your aircraft.
Pick up my aircraft. Steady run. Stand by to drop.
It's a perfect toss. Navigator Corey McPhee makes first contact.
Aircraft on the ground. This is Rescue Buffalo. How do you read?
Snake 462, this is the captain of the downed aircraft. I've got my co-pilot here. He's in the wreckage. He's got a broken leg. I see some bone protruding. There's quite a bit of blood. He's in and out of consciousness. We're requesting medical evac.
Okay, we check that. We'll be on the ground as soon as possible.
When the Buff is in rescue mode, Corey channels communications.
I do take control of the radios from the pilots, so I'm trying to maintain contact with our rescue coordination center, the individuals on the ground, as well as flowing all that information to all the crew members on board the Buffalo.
We've spoken to the ground. They do require medical assistance, so what we're going to do right now is get dressed, get prepared for a jump.
If the SARTECs are going in, they'll need a way out, along with the casualties.
And it looks like the SARTECs are requesting a helicopter for extraction.
That means the CH-149 Cormorant, back on base at Comox. Aircraft Commander Francois Fasquelle gets the call from the JRCC.
Yeah, 442 Squadron, Captain Fasquelle speaking.
Yeah, Buffalo's on scene. We have a crashed aircraft at location 5043.2. We'd like you to get going as soon as possible for the extraction.
Francois flies with a co-pilot, a flight engineer, and a team of SARTECs.
Check, blades are turning, pressure is 0, NR's alive. All right, there's 10 feet. 75% safe way. At this point, it is a confirmed crash, so we're heading their way and assisting in any kind of rescue that we can get involved in.
Back in the buff, Justin and Nathan are ready to jump to the crash site.
Right now I have my bush suit on, which is going to give me some protection when we jump into the confined area.
First jumper's away and clear. Second jumper's away and clear.
Now, Stephen settles into a 1,500-foot orbit, high enough to stay out of the Cormorant's way, but low enough to maintain radio contact with all parties.
What we'll do is we'll work as a comms platform or basically on-scene commander, and we'll talk with the search and rescue technicians on the ground. We'll talk with the Cormorant, and then we can, via a satellite phone, talk to the Joint Rescue Coordination Center. We'll be the go-between and make sure that everything functions smoothly and that the rescue can take place.
Time for Justin and Nathan to tend to the injured.
What's going on? Okay. My co-pilot here, pretty beat up. He's got a broken leg. Same as Joel.
Joel, don't move your head or neck, okay?
Okay.
Justin and Nathan need to stabilize the patient before he can be moved.
Okay, why don't you take a deep breath? So he's got a radial. It's like he's got an open fracture right there. Yep. Can you bandage the wound on the leg? Yep. Just gonna get a set of vitals.
From the buff, Stephen keeps an eye out for the Cormorant.
907, it's 462.
907, 462.
Yeah, we're inbound. We'll be on scene in 5 minutes.
Check, on scene in 5 minutes, take 462.
By the time the helicopter arrives, Justin and Nathan have their patient stabilized and ready to travel.
Ground roger, no call. Alpha is affirmative. Charlie is 1 times red, 1 times green, over.
Red means a patient needs immediate medical care. Green is a patient with no serious injuries.
Okay, copy. 1 green, 1 red. Are you ready for the extraction?
Hey, Roger, we are ready for the extraction.
For most rescues, the Cormorant's crew uses the hoist to evacuate the casualties. But with the helicopter's powerful downwash kicking up sand in this open field, Justin opts for a landing.
We're going to get you to put down, and we're going to carry our patients on board, over.
Okay, copy. No hoist. Say again, no hoist. Okay, we're landing right here.
Okay, check, and you are clear right to the ground, move down. And there is a bit of gear on the left side, clear right, stick down, clear right, move right to 20. Left main's touching, right main's touching those inches. And night sun is clear to the ground.
Getting the mobile patient on board is easy. The victim with the broken leg needs a little more effort. But the whole process takes only a few minutes. From the buff, Corey updates the JRCC.
Looks like all the patients are on board at this time. The Cormorant's starting to lift off.
Obstacles are clear right, departure entrance. And you're clearing to move up. Nose light, remains clear, nose clear.
The Cormorant is the slower of the 2 aircraft, and these patients need to get to a hospital as quickly as possible. So both aircraft head to nearby Gillies Bay.
So the Cormorant has got the patients on board, our SARTECs on board. We're on our way to meet them at the airport to do a patient transfer so we can take them on to the hospital.
But the Gillies Bay runway is primitive and barely 900 meters long.
Didn't realize how much that slopes off there on the side of the runway, hey?
Yeah.
Don't want to go into rhubarb.
Don't.
Getting the buff on the ground safely will push Stephen and his aircraft to the limit. A Canadian Air Force search and rescue exercise simulating an airplane crash off Canada's west coast is about to put the CC-115 Buffalo to the test.
All right, speed's 120 gears, slow dude.
To transfer a crash victim from the Cormorant helicopter to the plane, Captain Stephen Kind has to land at tiny Gillies Bay Airport.
There's a bunch of trees on either side, so you get the air will kind of burble, and at a slow speed, the aircraft is a little more, it's not as easy to control as at higher speeds, so you just got to be really careful there.
Tower 462, bunch of the trucker zone to the east. We're going to switch frequency to Gillies Bay. We'll call you on the way back.
Barely 900 meters long, this short airstrip is designed for much smaller aircraft. This is where the Buff really shines, with its short takeoff and landing capabilities.
Probably land 1.4 and take off 1.4. Yeah.
To safely complete a STOL landing, Stephen must rely on the aircraft's best braking system, the turboprop engines.
Once we're on the ground, we're going to take the engines and go into full reverse. So the engines will basically go to full power on reverse. It's going to push it all forward and allow us to slow down as quickly as possible.
Without the reverse thrust of the engines, the Buff and her crew could end up in the trees. To verify the engines have enough thrust to stop the plane, aviation technician Corey Baker puts them through a high-power run-up test after every periodic inspection.
I'm just going to play with some prop functionals first to start moving things around, and then we can start going into some high power. Goes out, comes on again, slowly towards idle.
With the engines warmed up, Corey moves on to the main event. The high-power run-up confirms the engines will respond immediately when he takes them to max power.
So the next functional I'm going to do is really going to throw the plane around a lot, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up in power, and I'm going to be going over 1,000 pounds of torque. That was a good one, I felt that.
These engines respond with speed and power.
This is a very powerful aircraft. If anyone gets into trouble, this aircraft's ready to take on the task.
Back at Gillies Bay, Stephen is on the final approach for his STOL landing.
All right, 70 knots to the diamond, whichever's higher, probably the diamond as it was earlier. Input me the numbers. There's no questions I can think.
No questions.
To keep his approach as slow as possible, he brings the flaps down to their lowest setting.
We're able to configure the aircraft for full flap on landing. If you actually look at the inboard flap, it's almost at 90 degrees. So what that's doing is just helping create a lot of lift, and it allows us to fly at slower speeds. Slow. Here we go.
Now it's up to the engines. To bring the aircraft to a stop.
Take that, Gillies Bay. Nice.
No problem. The Cormorant is close behind.
Steady forward. Am I clear to the ground? And you are clearing to the ground. Move down 3.
Go ahead to the ground, down 3.
Moving the patients onto the Buff guarantees the fastest transfer to Comox Hospital.
Well, anytime you have like a traumatic-based injury, the best thing we can do is expedite transport. So this would be a much faster way of getting patients, if not to a larger hospital, but getting them to an area where an ambulance could actually come and relieve us. Like, this is not an air ambulance. This is not the definitive platform which would be best for these patients. But what this aircraft does offer is the ability to land in more rugged areas and to coordinate really well with the Cormorant.
As soon as the Cormorant gets out of the way, Stephen prepares the plane for takeoff.
Single engine speed is 107 knots, torque is 960.
960 rate.
Yep.
And flaps up.
It's a short hop to Comox and the end of today's training mission.
I would say the mission was a success. We were able to identify the target very quickly. We were able to penetrate the scene safely with 2 jumpers. We were able to then deal with the patients on scene and coordinate the medevac. And at this point in time, we have 2 patients en route to Comox, where an ambulance awaits, and definitive care is only a short drive away.
Within minutes of touchdown, the air crash victims are headed for a Comox hospital. But it's not mission accomplished until Stephen protects the Buff from corrosion by washing off the salty sea air. And that means a trip through the bird bath. It's been a long day, and a good one.
I thought the exercise went pretty smoothly today. Obviously, it's not the first one that I've ever done. Greg's done a few himself, so it all flowed very well.
Stephen will have a different SARTEC team on board for tomorrow's Marine mission, headed up by team lead in training, Tyler Solmond.
It's quite a process to become a team lead, and I'm just at the juvenile stages of that. It's a really good training opportunity for myself. Training is so important for us because we train exactly how we will conduct our missions, and in the heat of the moment, we can fall back on our training because it's exactly what we need to do in a real mission.
Tomorrow's mission will be Stephen's last on the Buff.
This is the aircraft I joined to fly in the Air Force. I'm going to be very sad tomorrow when it's my last flight, but it's time to move on to something new and learn something new.
Today's Marine rescue mission starts early, especially for a crew simulating a boat in distress. Members of Comox's Marine unit pilot the Black Duck to the rescue location near Port Hardy, while the 2 junior officers from 442 Squadron get ready to play the stranded boaters.
We're going to be pretending that the boat's under distress and then jumping in the water and getting rescued.
Well, it's unseasonably cold right now. Beautiful for November by anywhere else in Canada's standards, but cold to be in the ocean, that's for sure.
80% of the calls received by the JRCC are related to small fishing or recreational vessels in distress in the coastal waters. While the Black Duck makes its way up the Georgia Strait, Stephen gets the call from the JRCC.
A boat taking on water near Port Hardy.
Okay, sounds good. I got the crew here, so we'll make our way on scene and figure out what's going on. All right, we'll talk to you airborne. Okay, bye.
Today, First Officer Greg Harris gets a chance to grab some more experience in the pilot seat.
My co-pilot will be flying today, and I'll be just sitting in the right seat as the aircraft commander, just basically monitoring the situation.
Greg will focus on the basics.
Conditions and procedure, that's it. Conditions and procedure. And input from Steve, because he's the guy with all the experience, right?
Okay, sounds good. So Greg and Tony, you guys can go start the airplane and be on our way.
But the Buff's not even on the tarmac.
The flight engineer obviously checks everything on the aircraft, and when he's going through, he was checking the pitot.
The aircraft's pitot system is vital for determining airspeed, but the heater on the pitot isn't working.
We have to have pitot heat because when we're flying along, we could get ice on the pitot system, and if there's any ice that gets in the front of it, we will not be able to get an airspeed indication. How's it going? Good. Just wanted to see how the fix was going.
The fix is coming along.
Stephen's 30-minute departure window is closing fast. This tiny part could derail his final mission on the CC-115 Buffalo. At Comox Air Force Base, a malfunction in the CC-115 Buffalo's airspeed system is jeopardizing Captain Stephen Kine's last mission, the rescue of a sinking boat.
They gotta swap the pitot head off, put a new one on, and they gotta hook up some equipment and test it to make sure it's calibrated properly.
But Stephen needs to get this training exercise off the ground within the 30-minute launch window.
That's all a part of our mandate, is to be within that time. The minutes do save lives.
He needs another option.
Looking at the time, probably good if we were to see if we can switch to another serviceable airplane.
6-2's just coming up now, so we'd have to swap our gear, but we could be ready.
To make the switch to the backup aircraft on time, everyone jumps into high gear. First Officer Greg Harris gets the Buff in the air, just moments before the launch window slams shut. On the water near Port Hardy, the crew from the Marine unit has set up the mock boat in distress. Petty Officer First Class Bob Sackett alerts local authorities to the exercise.
This is Black Duck. Good morning, sir. We will be conducting a training with the Buffalo and a Cormorant. We will be talking about taking on water, fires, and personnel overboard and abandoning the ship over the radio.
On board the Buff, SARTEC Tyler Solmond prepares his team.
Pre-search briefing, team lead.
Okay, team lead for pre-search. We have our pump rig ready to go in the back here, as well as 2 SRKs. We have extra SRKs on board if need be, and we also have all our gear prepped for a water jump.
An SRK, or Sea Rescue Kit, is an all-in-one survival package for marine emergencies. At Comox, Master Corporal Dave Brimacombe ensures that every SRK is complete and in optimal working order.
It is life-saving equipment, and if anything doesn't function, someone can die.
This life raft will be deployed in a marine rescue situation for short-term temporary use. It auto-inflates, everyone climbs in board.
When the SRK hits the water, a compressed gas canister inside the kit is triggered, causing it to inflate. But the SRK is more than just a life raft.
So this is the survival kit, which is installed on every 10-person life raft. So inside, we have food and drink packets, enough for 7 days and a full load of people, a desalinating water pump, and in here, we've got our first aid kit, and arguably the most important part of the entire survival kit is our locator beacon, because you need to be found. That's the #1 part of getting rescued.
The SRK is intact and ready to go. As they near Port Hardy, the crew of the Buff has no trouble finding their target.
And it looks like I have some smoke and water at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, that definitely looks like the target.
So as you come around here, you can see the boat with all the smoke.
Greg brings the aircraft into a low-level circuit so navigator Corey McPhee can make contact on the comms.
Black Duck, Snake 456, 22 Alpha.
Snake 456, this is Black Duck. We're taking on smoke. It appears we have a fire on board. We're gonna need some help.
Corey updates the JRCC.
RC Rescue.
I just got in contact with the vessel in distress, and they are in fact on fire, and they are taking on water pretty heavily.
Cormorant Captain Francois Fasquelle and his crew need to get to Port Hardy.
Snake 907, I went to 3602, clear takeoff, part 2, northbound.
We're coming up to 10 feet.
10 foot hover, check.
SARTEC George Beatty will assist with the marine hoist from the helicopter.
We'll see where they are when we get there, if they're still on the boat, if they got the fire under control, or if they've left the boat and they've gotten into the inflatable life rafts. And so if they're in that, we're going to be looking at hoisting in to get them out.
On board the Buff, Tyler and fellow SARTEC Andrew McKenzie prepare to launch a pump to stop the boat from sinking.
And we're already in the back.
Nice. Coming left.
Tyler is responsible for timing the drop. He doesn't want the pump to land beyond the reach or on top of the stranded boaters. Dropping a smoke flare helps him to see exactly where to target the pump.
We're going to throw one smoke out the back of the ramp. That's going to be our target marker.
10 seconds.
Prepare to drop smoke. Drop. Smoke. Now. Smoke is away and clear. You're clear to climb and maneuver.
Climbing.
Now he's good to go.
Prepare to drop pump. Drop. Pump. Now. Pump is away and clear. You're clear to climb and maneuver.
Yeah, lovely.
And that looks like it's going to be a good drop.
This is Black Duck Roger. We're moving in to recover the pump.
The pump falls safely away from the boat, but its retrieval rope is well within reach. But this pump might not solve the problem.
We can discuss with them if that's alleviating the problem. And while we're doing that, we'll be rigging our SRKs in the back just in case they decide to abandon ship.
For the purposes of this training exercise, the pump does not do the trick.
The pump's not keeping up. They're going to have to get off the boat.
It's time to drop an SRK.
Stand by to drop. Prepare to drop. Drop. Now.
The SRK auto-inflates exactly as required, and within easy reach of Paige and Joel.
Go for it. 456 Black Duck. The 2 personnel are just getting into the raft now. Over.
Time for Tyler and Andrew to get on scene.
10 seconds.
Check.
Rescue!
First jumper's away and clear. Second jumper's away and clear. D-bags are in. 2 good shoots to clear climb and turn.
Coming left.
Their aim couldn't be better.
Four, 5, 6. This is Black Duck. Both jumpers in the water safely. Over.
While Tyler and Andrew tend to the stranded boaters, Greg takes the Buff higher to provide top cover and give the Cormorant room for a rescue underneath.
We're going to establish an orbit over top. It allows us to maintain visual contact as well as voice contact via radio with them when they're down there doing their thing.
Snake 456, yeah, we're climbing up to 1,000 feet now to dig and look at the Cormorant.
Francois moves into position for the extraction.
Windsor Lights is going to be basically northwest approach. We're going to be hovering at between 50 feet and 100 feet from the water. The closest we get to the water, obviously, the more water we start picking up, and the downwash of the Cormorant helicopter is very significant. So we try to make the hover as high as possible, but as safe as possible.
He needs to make this quick. Between the frigid coastal water and the downdraft from the chopper, body temperatures are dropping fast. On a training mission off the coast of Vancouver Island, 2 search and rescue technicians from the CC-115 Buffalo and 2 stranded boaters need to get pulled out of the frigid water.
Heading forward, raft is 1 o'clock. Just outside the TFC, I'm coming inside for the safety check.
Cormorant SARTEC George Beatty will provide hands-on assistance to get the 4 parties up.
So we're setting up to head out. I'm going to grab the 2 casualties first, and then the 2 SARTECs will come in after that.
Pilot Francois Fasquelle keeps his distance until George is ready to go.
We'll come into a hover about 100 feet from the extraction point. The downwash over target is very powerful and can cause damage to people or material.
Then his flight engineer helps him position the helicopter to get George right to the raft.
SARTEC up, so. SARTEC's on his way out. Responsive. Order. Clear right, move forward and right, 15. Half out. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 more rings. Right 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, steady right. And SARTEC's at the raft.
The priority is getting the 2 boaters to safety.
Callers going over the casualty.
George starts with Junior Officer Page.
And SARTECs are at the door. And SARTECs and patient to come inside.
Then he returns for her colleague, Joel.
They're approaching the door now. Go for the strap. SARTEC has the strap. You can steady forward now.
SARTEC Andrew McKenzie is 3rd up.
And they're going for the strap.
SARTEC Tyler Sulmond comes last, riding alone in the basket, a hoist technique normally used to lift an injured patient.
And basket's approaching the sponsor. Basket's approaching the door.
Using it today keeps everyone in practice.
And basket's at the door. Door's coming closed. Door's closed, cabin is secure.
The last in, Tyler is too cold to talk, but Andrew is full of praise.
I think the mission went quite well. The pump was extremely accurate. With the scenario, we said that it wasn't effective, so we went into dispatching life rafts. Tyler did an amazing job with his accuracy, so I'm quite happy with how it all played out.
At the JRCC,
Air Sea Rescue.
Captain Clark gets an update.
Okay, understand you have the patients and all SARTECs on board. We'll advise EHS. Authorized to proceed back to base.
Stephen pilots the Buff home to Comox. It's his last chance to fly the plane he loves so much.
Are those tears?
I see tears.
I see tears, yeah.
And here you go.
And that was Steve's last flight.
Stephen's last mission on the Buff has gone like clockwork.
Now it's over with, and now it's time to move on. So, you never know. World works in weird ways. I could be back here at some point, so we'll see what happens.
But his colleagues at 442 Squadron won't let him escape the traditional dousing after a final flight in the aircraft. His affection for the finer things in life has earned him the nickname Princess. And now his crew has one last chance to rub it in.
Let's get her done.
Welcome to Service Flight 72 to the bird bath. Yeah. Please have a seat. There is no food served on this flight, so just enjoy the ride.
Stephen's time on the CC-115 Buffalo has come to an end.
It's very bittersweet. It's where I wanted to be. This is the job that I worked through all through school, university, and wanted to be here. I'm just glad I got to fly it. It's not many people get to live their boyhood dreams, and I got to do that.
But this hard-working hero of search and rescue will continue to fly, saving lives in the most rugged terrain in the world.